it seems like the current group of consoles, like Xbox and PS4, have been with us forever. But it was only back in 2013 that the Xbox One was originally launched during E3. Now, I'm Dermy, the ghost of E3 past, and I'm joined by the ghost of E3 present and future, Meg and Cringy here. Let's have a bit of a look back at the Xbox One, how it started, because that's kind of amusing now, and where it's going, what we expect to get out of this E3.
Yep.
Well, first, let's start by playing a game, Lunatic or Visionary?
I'm not sure which. Yeah, a little bit of both. It doesn't matter. It was a wild ride. Like, thinking about Don Mattrick and what Don Mattrick did in retrospect is incredible, but like for people at Microsoft at the time, it would have been just absolutely haunting to see it just go from the height of Xbox, with like 360 really hit its stride. Like, I feel like from like 2010 through 2013, there was like, they just kept, they hit a high note and they just maintained it for 3 years. And then 2013, when they did their, I think it was a May 2013 presentation, and they were like, this is what the Xbox One is out at Redmond.
TV Sports?
TV Sports, that was the presentation. And instead of, at the time, people were justifying it as, let's make this presentation about all of the things that don't necessarily need to be at E3, which kind of makes sense, but it's also a really terrible way to like sell it to the enthusiasts, right? It's not great.
Well, they got received very badly.
Yeah.
And it'd be fair to say the reaction was savage, wasn't it?
It was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And quickly, it's part of the reason because they had the TV sports in, which was a disaster. And then they had the remember you could trade in games, but you had to go deregister them at places like EB.
Yeah, so they had some funky DRM stuff going on where
consumers like didn't understand.
No, well, I mean they didn't either.
Yeah, but there were conversations where like they would release one article saying it was going to go one way, and then change their minds and say it was going to go another way. No, you're wrong. This is how we're going to do it, and then it ended up being retracted.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
not long after they announced it, but they also said there was going to need always on online, which and then their solution to that, when people say, what about people that can't have always on online?
Exactly.
Say if you live in Australia,
Yeah.
and it was to buy an Xbox 360, which was a bizarre solution.
They had like that was their consistent messaging from the original presentation in May out at Washington, like through to their E3. Presentation, and I think shortly after as well, where they were like, these are all of the policies that we're currently rolling out, and some of that was positive, like the family sharing in particular was like, if you own a physical game, you can now share that with family members under your like Xbox Live account, even if you're not on that home Xbox, and there was some really, really fun stuff there, but really consumers were really frustrated, or potential consumers, I guess, were like, this needs to be connected to the internet, this needs to ping Xbox's servers every 24 hours, which is something they were saying at the time. And a week after E3, when they lost all of their publicity opportunity, they did a 180, which was the worst time to do that because, as we now know, people were still quite hesitant after launch, months later.
I think they set the precedent in around the E3 time to make those big calls and make a mistake. Like it was one of the first times that I think a big brand such as Microsoft had done that.
Yeah.
And to retract and change their minds and listen to the audience, listen to their consumers when social media was at a peak during that time, they were listening to everyone's outcries and complaints and they changed their minds. Which I think is, it's a positive thing that they're like reaching out to the market.
It saved them, but it relatively saved them.
Right.
Yeah.
And eventually the Kinect went the way of the dodo as well.
So there was about a year between, I think it was just under a year between when they launched and when they ended up selling Xbox without Kinect, which at the time, it obviously wasn't strictly a price cut, but there was no one in the enthusiast audience, and even to an extent, like the general consumer audience, understood why they wanted Kinect, why they needed Kinect. I'm going to
interject there and remind you guys of a time when they sold the Kinect with the Xbox on the 4 gig model, where it actually takes
for 360.
For 360, and it actually needed like 4.8 gig to install the Kinect alone. So consumers would take it home because it was a cheaper alternative, and they'd get home and install it, and they'd be like, they come straight back the same afternoon and be like, excuse me, and
we can't.
And the retailers were like, oh, you actually need a hard drive to go with this. And so it was a really hard time, and I think that because of that, and they only had like what's the game that comes with it? There was nothing really.
Oh, like Kinect Adventures. Kinect
Adventures.
Yeah.
There was nothing else that really like adapted to the technology well enough for it to grow. And the ones that did, all the competitors like sort of reached out, like the Wii and Just Dance Prime Time.
Yeah.
That did it so much better.
Yeah, well, Fruit Ninja Connect came out. That was good fun.
Yeah.
But for a little while, my kids pretended they weren't trying to hit each other.
Kids.
Pretending.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for a little while, it was because we went through that motion control, not emotion,
Yeah.
like body control stage, where
Correct.
really the only difference between the consoles is whether you wanted to hold something or not while you're waving your arms around.
And that was still great, the fact you didn't have to hold a controller. I mean, I totally appreciate that, but it just wasn't responsive enough to keep up with the Wii at the time.
Yeah, I always found it was a little bit slow.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you look at what was in the original Xbox One announcement, now you said there was family game sharing.
Yeah.
Steam does that now.
Yeah.
They had the Kinect, which was spyware. You know, Google Home and Alexa now to do that for you. So a lot of the things they were trying to do, we've found as we've gone more to digital distribution, especially, we found that sort of creep in.
I think for them it was much more of a marketing exercise and them again a bad marketing exercise and them not knowing what their audience was. Like, sure, a lot of people are still going digital, but the problem is within Australia specifically, it's still really, really difficult to go all digital because so many people just still aren't up to par as far as like internet connectivity and having the infrastructure for that, whether it's a 500 gig hard drive or whatever else, right?
Also, retailer sales kick ass when it's a really good time
That's
of
the
year.
thing,
Like,
yeah.
why would you buy digital when you can just wait a couple of weeks, go to your retailer and grab it for a quarter of the price?
Yeah.
And there's nothing I enjoy more being still an ADSL that's pretty crappy than having a 12 gig download every time I go to start a game.
I don't want to talk about
You
it.
do
12
it
gigs is
overnight.
nothing. If you're only got a 12
Overnight, you
gig
reckon?
download, you're laughing. Half the games now are at least 50 gig, and it's like a whole working
You're on
day.
Xbox One X,
Yeah.
which is even worse because you've
Yeah.
got like those 4K textures, and then you like pull down
HDR,
like
what's up?
Forza 7 or Halo 5, and it's like, oh, cool. I think you might have posted on social media a while ago. I think it was like Halo Master Chief Collection. It was like 100 gig or something.
96
Let's talk about
gig.
that. They've just
Yeah.
announced they're going to be bringing that to Xbox One X with HDR skins and everything. So, but the way they're going to optimize it is like you can pick and choose which ones you want to install campaign and multiplayer for.
Oh my
so
God.
you can, you know, whatever floats your boat. That just got announced like a couple of days back.
This is a 4-year-old
Yeah.
game.
That-
Oh my
but
God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good actually. I hope what they do this time with digressing a bit from this stuff is I hope they make the Halo 2 and 3 the split screen proper 16:9, not
Yeah.
4:3.
Yeah.
Because I played through all the Halos with my boy, and that was good fun
Yeah.
playing split
It's
screen.
such
But
a good multiplayer
when
game.
you suddenly go back to 4:3
You
display
lose
now,
all that
it's-
space.
well, it seems like it. I mean, I like living in the past, but that's that's not what I'm
Look,
after.
you're not in Queensland, so you're getting by just fine.
Now the games. So we'll move on to the Xbox since that disaster. They haven't done too bad. They've had some decent games. I've got some exclusive ones I'll put here.
Oh, a
But
handful.
Quote,
Let's be real.
quote exclusive.
exclusive.
Yeah.
They haven't. Look, they're not. I mean, their games are also appearing on the PC. They're not really the exclusive console. One of the others says that. But the games that have come out of, they've been pretty good though. They have made up a bit of ground, haven't they?
I mean, it depends on like at what point you're talking about. When you're talking about like, I think it was early-ish 360, they were having a lot of games coming out that, I mean, at the time I wasn't on the console bandwagon, but I mean, Microsoft published like Mass Effect 1, which went on to be like a huge part of like the gaming psyche, I guess. And then Halo, obviously, Gears was a big one. And I think
Gears,
they've had like
yeah.
a few smaller ones as well that they've since sort of like let go to sort of do their own situation. But at this point, the big ones are really like Forza, Gears, Halo. That's pretty much it. And you can only sort of cycle those through only so often.
Yeah, they have their own life cycle, definitely.
And so they've kind of leaned on stuff like PUBG, where it's like console exclusivity, and
Correct.
it's only like
Yeah.
a matter of time
For
till
a
that
period of
jumps.
time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Tomb Raider
Rise of
was
the
the
Tomb Raider,
same.
and
Yeah.
that didn't really work out so well for
Yeah.
them. But it's like you said, a lot of it is console exclusive, and then you can
Yeah.
play on PC as well, which also kind of ties into the like Xbox Play Anywhere program.
I agree with you. I think Sony have always had the leg up with console exclusives, and I think it's going to be a really interesting E3 coming up this year to see what they pull out that's interesting and fresh IP that hasn't had a whole like chain of games previously.
Yeah.
Well, talking interesting, fresh IP, I like the old stuff. So with the Xbox One. Well, look. So, what are you looking forward to this year? Like, is there anything you're expecting at this E3 from Microsoft?
I'm expecting them to make a push because over the last few years they've been like, hey, here's 360 back in pat, and that has gotten hugely positive press and a hugely positive reception.
Yeah.
They did that with OG Xbox back in pat, and it's done the same thing. I don't think that they're necessarily in a position to start doing like a lot of console exclusive stuff the same way that Sony has been over the last few years. And so they're going to continue to rely on, I don't want to call it marketing gimmicks because they're not gimmicky, but it's not like we're trying to bolster our core business of console exclusives to try and get you to buy our hardware. Because truthfully, that's not what their focus has been. Like, they've been pushing Xbox Play Anywhere on like Windows 10 PCs for like the last few years as well. And for all we know, if they end up announcing Halo 6, and at this point, all signs look to be that.
I think you're right.
It'll
They've
be on
been
PC as well.
feeding that little teaser. And also Crackdown 3, Halo,
Oh, yeah. As far as the exclusives they will be bringing out, Crackdown 3, no one cares about.
Gears of War 5?
No. Maybe, but Halo 6 I'm expecting, and then obviously like another Forza game, which should be Forza, like another Forza Horizon game, because usually that's like a...
Oh, intermediary. Yeah, like the gap. What about you?
Oh, well, there's no more consoles to make
back
compatible.
yeah.
So I'm not looking forward to anything. Look, I suppose, look, to be honest with the Xbox, I don't play it as much as my kids do, so they play a lot of Fortnite on that. So, I don't have anything I'm really looking forward to. Hopefully more backward compatible, because that has slowed down on the Xbox 360 games. So hopefully a little bit more of that. Probably not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm an old person.
Well, so. I think the one thing that they really could knock it out of the park with is if they somehow manage to get all of the games from Xbox One, Xbox 360 and OG Xbox. They just like have an emulator that they run. They don't need to like repurpose code or anything like that. I appreciate that's a huge technical undertaking.
It is massive.
But like that's, for them, that's a huge knockout of the park. As far as showing, hey, we're really devoted to making sure that you, the fans, get what you want. Because it's not just like, we joke around how we might not be the target demographic for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But the reality is a lot of people love back and pat. They really, really are into it.
I'm really hoping to be impressed this year at E3, and I want to know more about their new adaptive controller they've brought in for disabled gamers and people that have like special needs. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos on it, and they are saying that we'll see more coming up for for E3. But I'm also hoping to see some really great trailers for some up and coming IPs.